Islam. Islam 101.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Respected viewers, we're once again here at Islam 101. And we're dealing with the tafsir and the explanation of Surah Al-Inshirah or Surah Al-Sharh. Surah Al-Inshirah is the surah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam of some of the mercies and some of the favors that he bestowed upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And from those favors is the fact that Allah guided him to the religion of Islam and chose him as the Nabi. So he is Mustafa and Mukhtar, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayh. And Allah Ta'ala just didn't choose him to be the Nabi and the Muballigh anillah, the one who's calling and inviting to Allah, but he made him equipped to handle the message of giving a da'wah. And he opened up his chest to make it easy for him to have a tahammul, or to be in a position to deal with what he saw and what he received from the bad behavior from those people who were his enemies. In addition to that, we may mention about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala physically had his open heart surgery done to him. How Allah Azza wa Jal sent the angels to him, and open heart surgery was performed upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam without any anesthesia or without any of the fine and precise tools and utensils that are well known today when they're being used in the hospital. And from the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that were mentioned in this surah, which is a Meccan surah, is the fact that Allah Ta'ala has taken off from him his wizr or his awzar, the mistakes that he has made as a human being. And he has forgiven him for what has passed from his previous sins and what is to come. Which does not mean that he ever made a mistake in making the tabligh of the risala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never made any mistakes in terms of what Allah ordered him to do. The religion is complete. Today, I have completed for you your religion, and I have perfected for you my favors upon you, and I am pleased to choose for you as a way of life, al-Islam. So the deen is mukmal. Allah Ta'ala completed the deen, the religion, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not leave one stone unturned. So we don't want someone to come in to say or to claim this is a proof he made a sin. He may have not relayed what he should have relayed. No, he relayed the message in its totality. And finally, up to this point, we've dealt with the favor that Allah bestowed upon him, which was the favor of raising his remembrance in this life as well as the next life. Today, inshallah, we will continue to talk about some of the other favors that Allah has bestowed upon him as it relates to the completion of the surah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala went on to say, verily with difficulty there is ease. And he repeated it, verily with difficulty there is ease. When we look at the book of Allah and we look at the authentic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we'll find that Allah has repeated certain ayat over and over and over again. Like in Surah Al-Rahman, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny, is repeated in Surah Al-Rahman over and over and over again. In the authentic sunnah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say to the people, ad-dinu nasiha, ad-dinu nasiha, ad-dinu nasiha. And he will repeat a particular thing multiple times. One of the wisdoms behind that is to show the importance of the thing that is being said. To show that what is being said and what is being repeated is important. Another reason is to show the emphasis or the ta'keed about that particular thing. So here we have this methodology being used right here. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. We don't want to get into the linguistics of this particular surah or this ayah, even though linguistically some things are happening that are important. Like the fa and the inna. And we have some students here who are students studying the Arabic language. So we know that inna is from the adawat al-ta'keed. They are certain that the Arabs used to use to show the emphasis of a particular thing. So Allah mentioned the ayat twice, and He used inna twice to show this is a serious point that has to be understood. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily with difficulty there comes ease. Verily with difficulty there comes ease. This ayat should be considered with the backdrop of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's history as a prophet and Nabi. When he went to Mecca and he started calling the people to La ilaha illallah, the people stood up and they opposed him. And they said, we're going to fight him for making the gods into one gods. Inna hadha la shay'un ujab. That's what they said. Has he made the many gods into one god? Inna hadha la shay'un ujab. That's a strange thing. We're going to lose money. How can he say that? Our fathers didn't understand the religion like that. So they were against him. And when they were against him, he was weak and he was oppressed when he was in Mecca. The position of the Muslims was a position of weakness, to the point that the Prophet ﷺ would pray at the Kaaba, and when he went into prostration, went to sajda, the non-Muslims would come and put on his shoulder and his back the dung of some of the animals, and they would have a laugh at the expense of Rasulullah ﷺ. Not a single companion would stand up in order to defend him out of fear that if anyone were to stand up, the non-Muslims will kill everyone. That's how weak and that's how weak and insignificant their military might and power was. That's how it was in the beginning. That was the usr. That was the difficulty of that particular time. Being kicked out of your city. They were boycotted for 2 years. They couldn't eat properly. That was a difficult time. Bilal ibn Rabah al-Habashi, the Amin of this ummah and the Mu'adhin of this ummah, Bilal radiallahu anhu, he was taken to the desert and put on the floor of the desert, and the hot rock was placed on his chest. Khabbab ibn Arat, also one of the weak Muslims. Sumayya, the mother of Ammar, and her husband Yasir, al-Yasir. Those people were oppressed to the point where they killed the boy's mother and father right before his very eyes. This was the difficulty at the beginning of al-Islam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed the favor upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gave his religion dominance over the peninsula of the Arabs. Allah is the one who sent his messenger with the religion of truth, and he proclaimed his religion over all of the other religions, and Allah is enough as a witness. But at the beginning it was difficult. And then at the end of al-Islam, after he made the hijrah to al-Medina, Allah Azza wa Jal gave his religion the idhar and the dhuhur and the dominance and the power over the whole peninsula, to the point that he made the fath of Mecca. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam traveled from al-Medina and he went to conquer Mecca, the place where he began his dawah. And they used to give the call and they used to practice Islam in private, in the privacy and the secrecy of their homes. But when he went and he conquered Mecca, he was in a position of authority. He went into Mecca and he went in without being molested. Everyone ran away. There was no force or no power to prevent him from entering into Mecca. So when he entered into Mecca, brothers and sisters, and this is an important point, he went into the Kaaba and he saw that the people drew pictures of Ibrahim making al-azlam. He was making divination with arrows, as if Ibrahim decided affairs by pulling out an arrow. If I pull this out, this means I shouldn't travel. If I pull this one out, it means I shouldn't get divorced. If I pull this one out, I shouldn't invest. Al-Islam, rijsum min amal al-shaytan, fajtanibuh. This is an evil thing in al-Islam. Rasulullah saw that and he said, Ibrahim did not do this. Ibrahim was not a mushrik. He was not a polytheist. Anyway, when Rasulullah saw the many idols around the Kaaba and he returned to Mecca powerful, he took out a piece of stick. He found an oud. And then he took the stick and he started knocking the idols over one by one. Say unto them, the truth has come and falsehood has fled. Verily, falsehood is an ever fleeing thing. He didn't go into the Mecca to destroy the Kaaba with a big axe. He didn't go into Mecca to destroy the Kaaba with a big bazooka, a stick, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the power and the istikhlaf in the earth. So at the beginning of Islam, it was difficult, and at the end of Islam, Allah ta'ala gave him the nasr. He gave him the victory. So this ayat is saying, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily with difficulty, there is ease. Verily with difficulty, there is ease. Al-Imam al-Tirmidhi has narrated an authentic hadith that the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لَن تَغْلَبْ عُسْرٌ وَاحِدْ يُسْرَيْن. One difficulty will never defeat two eases in this ayat. For those people who are studying Arabic language. In this ayat, al-usr, it is with the al-ta'rif, al-usr. So we know it's talk about a specific difficulty. But yusr is nakira. We don't know which yusr. It can be multiple yusrs. But al-usr is one. So he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لن تغلب. لن تغلب. عسر واحد. يسرين. One usr. Because it's L in both ayats. So that's for the people who are studying Arabic. Abdullah bin Abbas, Ikhwani, concerning this particular ayat, he said, if anyone is suffering from a problem or an issue in this life, difficulty, and he's looking for the ease, then you should always remember, when Allah sends down the difficulty on you from the sky, because it's in the qadr, when Allah sends it down, verily Allah sent behind it the ease. So if the usr, if the difficulty were to go into the grave, the yusr will go into the grave as well. We'll come back inshallah to finish the interpretation, explanation of this ayah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those people who love the Quran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Islam 101.
Let's talk.
So this is something that you have to point out to them in the Bible.
Something which is, I think, very direly needed by the youth, which is staying firm on the truth.
This is just one of the greatest examples for me of how to control your anger.
Within the framework of being the cleanest religion, the cleanest jurisprudence, and in the meantime, the kindest religion to animals.
Watch Let's Talk with Khalil Amanet as he interviews guests and discusses a variety of topics, everything from youth issues to religious issues. Join us here on Huda TV.
Islam 101.
Welcome back to our program, Islam 101, in which we're dealing with the ayats of Surah Al-Inshirah. We've now arrived at the statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the Habr of the Ummah, the Imam of the Ummah, as it relates to the Quran. The one who the Prophet ﷺ took inside of his cloak, and he made a dua, and he said, Allahumma faqihhu fi ddin. And in another narration, in the ta'wil, oh Allah, teach him the religion, and teach him the explanation of the Quran, the tafsir of the Quran. Abdullah bin Abbas, he said, if you're suffering from a problem or an issue that has been sent down to you from the sky by Allah, a proof that Allah is above the seven heavens, it was sent down because it was decreed. He said, don't give up hope, because along with the problem, Allah is going to send down the ease. And if the problem that was sent down, the trial, the fitna, if it was sent down and it goes into a hole, then the ease is going to follow it into that hole. So Allah never gives anyone a problem except that the ease is coming. But you have to have patience, as the Prophet said in an authentic hadith. And he mentioned this hadith to Abdullah bin Abbas when he was a young boy. The end of the hadith says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ النَّصْرِ مَعَ الصَّبْرِ وَأَنَّ الْكَرْبِ مَعَ الْفَرْجِ وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Know that victory comes with patience. And getting out of the problem comes with the problem that you have is going to be solved. And with difficulty, there is ease. So with that being the case, it's not acceptable for any Muslim to decide to kill himself because of the problems that he has. A Muslim never thinks about an intihar, where he's going to take his life. This is not permissible. Something that's going on in a person's life, he loses a leg or a limb, gets divorced, loses a loved one. He doesn't say, life is over now, I'm going to kill myself. This is not acceptable. He commits suicide. Her husband took another wife, for an example, and she feels she can't handle it, so she takes and she swallows a number of pills in order to kill herself. This is not permissible. Why? فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With difficulty, there's ease. Some of our young brothers, they're not married. They don't have the ability to get married because they are poor. They're du'afa, fuqara, masakin. They don't have the ability. And it's very dumb. It's very difficult with the shahwa of being young. So the boy is saying, I need a way out. Where is the way out? Where's the way out? So instead of making the ghadd al-basar and lowering his eyes, he says, I'm just going to go and I'm going to carry on an illicit relationship with another woman because I can't be patient. Or he makes a nikah to his hand. Nasallallahu alayhi wa salama. La. Al-Islam doesn't allow you to do that. You have to have a sabr. You have to be patient. And with your sabr, Allah, with your patience, Allah is going to bless you. Whoever has taqwa and he fears Allah, Allah will make a way out for him from his problem. And he'll provide for that individual from where he doesn't expect. So with difficulty, there is ease. Do not take the easy way out, which is to kill yourself. Whoever kills himself in this dunya, that is what he's going to do in the akhirah. He'll take something to poison himself. He'll shoot himself over and over again. He'll stab himself over and over again in his grave. He'll throw himself off of a mountain, off of a high place over and over again in his grave. So remember, Muslims, you Muslims, with difficulty, there's ease. And that also applies to non-Muslims as well. Because Allah is the creator. And Allah does not burden a soul beyond its ability and beyond its scope. Everything that happens to you happens because of some wisdom. And everything that happens to you happens because you have the ability to deal with it and to solve it and to get through it. So we remember this ayah. These two ayahs that were repeated for those who have doubt. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And then again, إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. So we're going to address any of the questions or concerns or comments that some of our brothers may have. Does anyone have anything? تفضل أخي صالح.
As we heard that Bilal was not from Arabian Peninsula, and he was a slave. How was he made as a muazzin of this ummah, and he was a slave?
Concerning Bilal, radiyallahu anhu, wasn't an Arab. That's true, he wasn't an Arab. Bilal ibn Rabah is an Ethiopian, Abyssinian, from Al-Habasha, from Ethiopia. And the question is, how was he made to be a mu'adhin if he was a slave? First of all, Bilal won his freedom from slavery before they made hijrah from Mecca to Medina. Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu had a lot of money and he purchased the freedom of Bilal from his owner Umayyah ibn Khalaf, la'anatullah alayhi. Umayyah ibn Khalaf used to oppress Bilal and other than Bilal. So Abu Bakr came and purchased his freedom and let him go free, fi sabilillah, let him go free. So by the time they went to Medina, he was a free man. He was no longer a slave. And the fact that he became the mu'adhin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to show that a free slave can be the mu'adhin. A free slave can be the imam in the salah. And in the books of the madhabs, for you Muslims that say a man can't be a slave or a free slave in order to be the imam or the mu'adhin, that's kalamun farigh, la dalil alayhi. There's no proof about that. He told us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the hadith of Al-Irbad ibn Sariya radiyallahu anhu, when he gave them a serious maw'idah, a serious exhortation, وَإِن تَأَمَّرَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَبْدٌ حَبَشِيٌّ رَأْسُهُ كَالزَّبِيبَ. You people should listen and obey. عَلَيْكُمْ بِالسَّمْعِ وَالطَّاعَةِ. You have to listen and obey your leader, even if your leader happens to be a raisin head slave. A person who has a raisin head, meaning a black person. A black person could be the leader. The one who is the leader over the Muslims should be the one who is the most competent and the most qualified. And being a slave or an ex-slave doesn't have anything to do with the issue. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. the one who has the best position, the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah, is the one who has the most taqwa. Not the one who's white, not the one who's black, not the one who's Arab, but the one who has the most taqwa. And this is one of the beautiful aspects of Islam that was appealing to me. Don't get me wrong, there are Muslims who are racist, Arabs who are racist to non-Arabs. There are Muslims who are racist. I've seen and suffered from racism from Muslims, no doubt about that. But the religion of Islam doesn't allow racism. It eradicated racism because of the ayat that we mentioned, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The best of you in this religion is the one who has the most taqwa. La fadla lil arabi ala al ajami wala lil abyad ala al aswad. Kullukum banu Adam wa khuliqa Adamu min turab. There is no virtues of an Arab over a non-Arab, or white over the black. All of you are from Adam, and Adam was created from the dirt. So that's an excellent question. Do you guys have any more questions?
I want to ask you about suicide. Suicide is one of the greatest sins, as I understood. But how to be with people that are very ill, they are dying, they are suffering a lot, and they want to stop their suffering by killing themselves. How to deal with that? Should they continue their suffering or should they stop it?
Concerning the people who are suffering, is it permissible for someone who has a terminal disease or illness and they're going through a lot of suffering, like people who have HIV/AIDS, and it's full-blown, and we've seen with our own eyes the suffering that they go through. People who are taking chemotherapy and they have progressed forms of cancer, and they go through a lot of suffering. Is it permissible for us to kill them or for them to kill themselves? La, this is not permissible in the religion of Islam. First of all, because as we mentioned, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah does not burden the soul beyond its scope and its ability. That person has the ability to do that. But we have to stop here. And inshallah, we'll begin the next segment, probably with that, if Allah gives us life. We hope to see you again in the next segment, which will be our last segment. As-salam ala man ittaba al-huda.
Islam. Islam 101.